Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Coach Matt, EliteThrowsCoaching.com, and in today's video, we're going to be taking you through week 10 of our preseason workout plan. Now, what you're going to notice about week 10 is that it is essentially the same thing as week 9. We are just going to be upping the intensity a little bit. So even though it does look like the same workout, it's going to feel a little bit different. We're going to get into that when we go and explain each day. Some things to keep in mind for this week. It is the same-ish workout as last week that we just talked about. We are going to be adding approximately 5% more weight to your lifts. Now, when I say approximately 5%, that's for a reason. Now, you have to think back to how you did last week. Last week, we had you do 80% of your 2 rep max, and we had you do that for 5 sets of 3. How did those 3 repetitions feel? Was the 3rd repetition on every set basically impossible? Was the 3rd repetition on every set so easy that it felt like you could have done 6 or 7 reps? Okay? You have to think back. Hopefully you wrote some things down, but you have to think back to exactly how did those reps feel. Because if it is something where they felt very easy, adding 5% to the number of last week, so doing 85% of your 2 rep max is going to be pretty good. If you say, for example, need to go an extra 5%, or say you add an extra 5%, and it's going to feel like there's no way I'm going to get this for 5 sets of 3, there's absolutely no way this is going to happen, then split the difference. So here's a good example. Say, for example, just for the sake of keeping the math easy, your 2 rep max was 300 pounds. Again, maybe squat, bench, whatever it is. Week 9, we had to do 5 sets of 3 at 80%, which is essentially 5 sets of 3 at 240 pounds. So week 10, you might have to split the difference. So say, for example, 5 sets of 3 at 240 felt good. Maybe you could have gotten a 4th repetition if you really grinded it out. Well, going up another 5%, going up to 255 might be too much. You know you got to go higher than 240, but going 255 might be too much. You think in your head, I don't know if I'm going to get that. Well, then maybe you split the difference, you do 245 or 250 and really try to push it this week. Maybe last week you did 5 sets of 3 at 80%, 5 sets of 3 at 240, and they were way too easy. Well, that's when maybe you can go up to 85% and do 255. So it's going to be a judgment call on your part. You're either going to add 5% or you're going to add a little bit less than 5%. So if your, for example, 2 rep max was only 100 pounds, last week you did 80 pounds for 5 sets of 3. Adding 5% is only bringing it up to 85 pounds. So maybe you want to play with it a little bit and maybe try 90. That's going to be a little more than 5%. That's going to be 10%, but at a lighter weight, like 100 pounds, if you use a 100-pound bench or a 100-pound squat, 5 to 10 pounds is not going to make that huge of a difference. If you, say, squatted 500 pounds for a 2 rep max, last week we had you do 400 for 5 sets of 3. This week that would jump all the way up to, 425. So that's a pretty big jump. That's a pretty big increase. 25 pounds is a lot different than, say, if you added 5 pounds, okay? So use your best judgment. We're going to go up approximately 5%, okay? We're going to show you the sets, we're going to show you the reps, and we're going to show you why even something as little, what seems little, like a 5% increase, is going to make a big difference when we take a look at what we're doing the 2nd week of our intensification stage this week. Okay, so let's take a look at day 1, which is your squat day. So you're going to be doing 4 sets of 3 at around 85%, like we just talked about. Again, between 80 and 85%. If you think a full 5% increase from last week is going to be too much, well then don't do it. Just try to split the difference like we talked about in the previous part of this video. After you do your 4 sets of 3 at 85%, or whatever that is, you're going to do 1 set of as many repetitions as possible at the same weight. So your final set is going to be a little bit more of a burnout set. So you might be able to get it for 4 reps, you might be able to get it for 5 reps. We're trying to do more than 3. So the first 4 sets are at 3, you're just going to stop at 3. The 5th set is the same amount of weight, but you're going to be doing as many reps as possible. You're going to completely fatigue and burn yourself out on those, okay? After that, we have the Same walking lunges as last week. We're going to be doing 4 sets of 8, just like last week, but you're going to make that heavier. So increase the weight of the dumbbell, the sandbag, the weighted vest, the kettlebell, whatever you had in your hand, whatever you had to add weight to that movement, make it heavier. And then you've got the same lunge and reach stretch as last week. Then we have our vertical pull. Vertical pull, we're going to make it heavier. So if you did a pull down, weight on the weight stack. Okay, if you pull up or some type of chin up, you're going to have to try to manually add weight. So you can put on a weight vest, you can try to grip a dumbbell in between your feet, you can put a chain around your neck, you can have a band around your body, rig up a band and do it that way. You can even have a partner do like a manual resistance where they're pulling down on your feet as you're pulling up. Again, something to make that pull heavier. And then your plank, we're going to make it heavier as well. So how do you make a plank heavier if it's body weight? Again, you can put a chain around your neck, you can put a plate on your back or have a partner put a plate on your back, you can wear a weight vest, you can even set up a band around your back like you're going to be doing a resisted band push-up, and just hold yourself up in that plank. Something that's going to make it a heavier body weight, a heavier movement. One of my coaches here at the gym the other day, she was actually sitting on my back as I was doing a plank. So needed some extra weight, so she just decided, hey, I'm just going to sit right on this dude's shoulders. And it sucked, but hey, we were able to get the work done. All right, so as you can see, very, very similar to what we did during last week, during week 9, but we are pushing the intensity a little bit more, not just the intensity in terms of the amount of weight that's on the bar or the amount of weight that you're doing for your assistance movements, but the overall attitude and the intensity that you're bringing to the weight room. Start getting aggressive, start getting fired up. We're going to be maxing out in 3 weeks, so start pushing the pace, start getting a little fired up, start getting a little bit aggressive, get under the bar, try to attack these weights and get really, really fired up because we are testing very soon. Okay, your day 2 bench day pretty much follows the same exact pattern as last week and follows the same kind of progression as day 1, as your squat day. 4 sets of 3 between 80 to 85%. Again, use your judgment. And then 1 set of as many repetitions as possible at that same weight, okay? After that, dumbbell incline press, same that you did last week, 4 sets of 8 using a heavier dumbbell. Bent over dumbbell rows, 4 sets of 8 per arm, just like you did last week, using a heavier dumbbell. These are going to be again together. Tricep extensions, 4 sets of 8, again using heavier weight than you did last week, so maybe it's heavier weight on the cable stack, a heavier band if you were doing banded tricep extensions, or you can use a heavier dumbbell if you were doing some type of a dumbbell extension. After that, face pull, 4 sets of 25, just like last week, but we're going to be going heavier. So you could use a bigger band if you did bands, or you can use more weight on the cable stack if you did a cable machine to do your face pulls, okay? The other thing that I forgot to mention in your squat is just like last week and every week that we've been doing before this is a build-up. So don't just throw 85% on the bar and go to town and do, 4 sets of 3. Build up to that. Start at like 55%, 65%, 75%. Maybe start with the empty bar if you're kind of brand new to lifting. I still start with the empty bar. I mean, I've been lifting weights for, God almighty, 24 years at this point, and I still start every squat day, every bench day with the empty bar. Okay, just get some blood flowing, start, and then gradually build up to doing this. So you might have 3 or 4 warm-up sets before you get to 85%, and that is totally okay. Okay, last but not least, we have day 3, which is our deadlift day. So day 3, you're going to notice, does not have that as many reps as possible at the end, but we are still keeping the same thing. Last week, we did 6 sets of 1 at 80%. This week, we're doing 7 sets of 1 between 80 to 85%. Again, just like the previous 2 days, use your best judgment. Here's an example of a build-up like we talked about in the past couple days. 55% for 5 repetitions, 65% for 3 repetitions, 75% for 1 repetition, and then you do your working sets, your 85%. So this is the work. 85% for 7 sets of 1, 7 singles at 85%. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. If there's any questions, leave them down below this YouTube video. We then have our dumbbell overhead press, 4 sets of 8 per arm, heavier than last week. And the back extension that you chose last week, 4 sets of 15, heavier. Now again, this may have been a body weight exercise. Typically they are. How do you make it heavier? You can hold on to a weight plate, you can hold on to a dumbbell, you can put a band, somehow rig a band around something as you're doing it. A lot of different ways. If you did something that included kettlebells, use a heavier kettlebell. Weight vest, whatever it is, make the movement somehow a little bit heavier. Find a way to get it done. Overhead sit-ups, 4 sets of 10, make that heavier. Maybe last week you held on to a very light bar, like one of those easy curl bars. Try holding on to a regular 20 kilo, 45 pound bar. Okay, maybe you can put a 5-pounder on the end of that easy curl bar or that lower curl bar. Maybe you have the bars that incrementally get heavier in your gym that are just the set standard weight. Try using a bigger one of those. Whatever you did, you get the idea, make it heavier. And then finally, we have dead bugs, which are in the warm-up. All this stuff pops up at the end. Make sure you guys check that out. These warm-ups, don't skip these, okay? I know you see them, you're like, oh, it's a stretch, I can skip it. Oh, this is just a stretch, I can skip it. This is what's going to keep you healthy as we get closer to your testing day, and this is what's going to keep you healthy as we keep increasing the intensity of these workouts, all right? So make sure you guys leave your comments down below, leave your questions down below. YouTube's being a little bit crazy. Make sure to click the subscribe button and click the bell to get the notifications. That way you get all of these videos when they come out every single week. And also a bunch of stuff just popped up here, videos from previous weeks, ability for you guys to subscribe to the channel, and also a link right to our coaches clinic that's happening here in a couple weeks. It's really meant for throws coaches who are having trouble dealing with big teams or trouble organizing their season, figuring out when to do their lifting, what drills should we be doing, technique work. It's all in there for you. So make sure to click on all these buttons right here that just popped up, see what we have to offer, and I'll see you guys here on YouTube next week. But make sure to get in touch with me if you need anything, okay? Make sure to reach out, comments, emails, go to the website, click all this crap, and we'll get it taken care of for you. All right, good luck in the weight room this week. See you next week here on the channel.